2 years ago, I pleaded with God to give me his heart. Since then, my husband and I have experienced a series of heartbreaks. Today, I had a CT scan performed at Hopkins because of a suspicious nodule on a chest x-ray. My breathing has worsened considerably. I am still suffering with presumptive MS of over 30 years. Why has our suffering escalated and in a state of perpetuity since praying this prayer?
Wow. There's no easy answer to that question, that's for sure. I remember speaking with my Aunt Regina once. This was a number of years ago, and she began to tell me some of the things that she was going through. And she spoke with me specifically about how difficult it was for her to see her son, Charles, my cousin, struggle with a severe mental illness. And at that time, I turned to her and I started to give some of my more abstract philosophical responses for why God might allow suffering of Charles's sort. And she listened to me really generously, really graciously. And then she turned to me and she said, "Vince, that doesn't speak to me as a mother." And I thought it was a really fair response. I think Jesus realized this as well when his good friend Lazarus dies. He's late getting there. They had sent for him. He waits a couple days before he gets there. By the time he gets there, Lazarus has died, and Lazarus' sisters, Mary and Martha, are not too impressed. Reading between the lines, it seems like they're saying, "Jesus, what were you thinking? If you had been here on time, my brother would still be alive. What do you have to say for yourself?" And with my convictions as a Christian, I believe that Jesus could have given an answer there. He could have defended himself, given an explanation, but we're not told that he did any of that. Instead, he just wept. He just wept with Mary and Martha at the death of their brother, his good friend. You know, the really interesting thing about what you said is you prayed that God would give you his heart. I think what actually has happened is he's taken on your heart. You've gone through a lot, and I don't have an easy answer for why you specifically have gone through those things. What I can tell you is that the night before Jesus died, as he struggled with what he knew the next day would bring, he said, "My heart is sorrowful even to death." The God of the universe, the creator of everything, saying that he's sorrowful even to death. Whatever each one of us has experienced, whether it's deep depression, whether it's thoughts about suicide, Jesus has been there. There's no depth of agony and helplessness that we can go through in this life that he doesn't understand. So I don't have any simple answers about why specifically, but sometimes it's really difficult for, as Robbie was saying, us to understand God's ways when we see such a small slice of the script or of the story. I'm thinking of the book of Job in the Old Testament. At the beginning of that book, there's a man named Job, and he loses everything. And it says he was an upright man. He was seeking after God's heart, and he loses everything. He loses family. He loses his wealth. He loses his animals. At the end of the book, it says that God gave back to him a double portion of everything that he had lost. He's given back twice as many animals. He's given back twice as much wealth. The interesting thing is he's only given back the same number of children. He loses 10 children at the end. He doesn't get 20 children at the beginning. He doesn't get 20 children at the end. He only gets 10 back. And I had never known why that was the case. I read a commentary recently, and they suggested maybe this is one way to read the passage. Maybe that's because Job didn't lose the 10 children at the beginning. Maybe he's just not with them for a time. And maybe just giving 10 back at the end of Job's life was to give him that double portion of 20 children. What if it's the case that what we see is literally just the first few moments of our lives? What if it's really the case that one day there's going to be a place where The Bible says God himself will wipe every tear from our eyes. There will be no more death or mourning or crying or pain. What if one day Job will be reunited with all of his children? What if one day so much of what appears lost in this life is actually only lost for a time? So I don't have a simple answer for you, but I do believe that I have a God who gives hope, and that will be my prayer for you.
Oh, you've got to go home now. Okay, go ahead. Thanks for joining us.